Pretty good. Trying a little decaf today. Hope you got your cup of coffee today. I'm going to do another book review for you. This time, we're going to do Mistborn, The Final Empire, Book 1 of the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. Spoiler alert, I did not like it. It was not my cup of tea. It wasn't my cup of coffee. Everyone on Book Talk and BookTube and all across the land of fantasy hyped this book up like no other. And they hyped this trilogy up. They hyped the characters up. And when I was reading it, I was dumbfounded and honestly confused why this book was so and is continually just praised, highly praised. I like adult books. I like adult fantasy, and I don't like YA. This book is very simple. It's very straightforward the way it's written, and it is clearly geared toward younger audiences. And I, as a reader, specifically fantasy reader, look for a little more depth in the character work and in the plotting and descriptions and histories and lore. I want to exercise my brain when I read a book and not have everything spelled out for me and have everything told to me with exposition dumps. I want room for mystery, and not everything needs to be answered. I love ambiguity in storytelling, in my films and in my books. I know I'm in the minority here when it comes to Sanderson and his work. This was my first Sanderson book and my first introduction to his writing style. And I had previously read the first two Witcher short story books, and I was just trying to look for something else. And it's just, again, it was just too simplistic and too surface level, whereas I wanted a little more depth. There was way too much dialogue and exposition through dialogue, and there just wasn't enough mystery and intrigue. I look for a lot of world building when it comes to fantasy books, and I wanted to know a little more about the city. I wanted to see and feel and smell and hear what a day-to-day life was like with the ska and with the lower class of this society. I wanted to dive deeper in the cultural differences and aspects and the economic differences. I felt like the characters were one-dimensional, and they didn't feel human to me. They felt very hollow and just kind of vessels for exposition. They didn't feel human to me. I wanted to care for the characters, and I didn't care for any of these characters. I know everyone praises Sanderson for his plotting and his storytelling and his pacing, and that was all fine, but things were too convenient. Things weren't earned. I felt like the pacing was a bit too fast. I wanted to see the day-to-day life, and I wanted to see Vin at her lowest. And don't just give her this giant power jump and creep as a character, as like a superhero. Let me see her journey. I want to see a natural progression. That way, I'll care for her. And when a character's at their lowest, and you've seen them at their lowest, you'll stick with them through the mids and the highs and at their very best. And when they do something fantastic and brave and courageous, it's like, wow, I felt that. And that, I believe, will evoke emotion. And I didn't feel anything. And everyone praises Brandon Sanderson for his magic systems. I love and hate this magic system. I think it is an extremely dope concept. The use of metal and pulling and pushing and all that jazz, but it got so repetitive. Push, pull. I don't need you to tell me how your magic system works over and over and over and over again like a video game tutorial. And yeah, this magic system felt very video gamey, which is not a bad thing. Funny thing is, this book came out, I think, 4 years before Dishonored, the video game. And that's a sick video game. I got a lot of those vibes when reading Mistborn. It made me actually want to go play Dishonored. A video game and a book are two different things, and I don't want to read a video game manual of your magic system over and over and over again. I like magic systems that don't have every intricate detail planned and plotted out. It's such a sick magic system, but I wish there was a little more mystery, and I wanted to be a little more surprised. I don't hate the book. I just didn't like it. It's not... I love the concept of a Dark Lord who won, and these lower folk want to overthrow him. That's awesome. I was sold in the prologue, but I wanted more, and the whole book just made me want more. The whole first book should have been Vin, just her at her lowest. Then at the very end, we learn she's a Mistborn. Done. Sick. Let me see her struggle day to day, moment to moment in these plantations, in these ska communities. And then we see glimpses of her figuring out that she's got powers. I'm not hating on Sanderson at all. I love what he's done for the publishing industry. The communication he has with his fans, the loyalty he has percentage updates on his books, on his website. He goes to bookstores and he signs books randomly, like, hey, I was at this Barnes & Noble, come on down. There's 40 signed copies. That's amazing. I love his videos on video games and movies and Magic the Gathering. I would love to meet him. I say this in every one of my videos, but I'm reading Wheel of Time. I'm on book 11. This is the last Robert Jordan book. And I will then be going into the last 3 books that Brandon Sanderson wrote. I'm not dreading that by any means. I'm excited because I want to see what's so awesome about Sanderson's writing. I want to be a big fan of his writing. And I'm excited for that part of my journey in Wheel of Time. Last week, I was at a coffee shop and I was reading my Wheel of Time book, and a gentleman stopped me and he commented about Wheel of Time, and he's like, hey, it's a long one, but it's worth it. And yeah, we talked for about an hour and a half about books, and he was a massive Sanderson fan. The way he talked about Sanderson and the Stormlight Archive, the Way of Kings, he got me intrigued. I know I've kind of written Sanderson off after Mistborn, but I'm excited to see what he's written for Wheel of Time. And, I may give Way of Kings a shot and just see what this big series is all about. I mean, book 5, Words of Truth, Wind and Truth, something like that, is coming out in December. I'm a slow reader, so I may be done with Wheel of Time by then, but maybe I'll start my Stormlight Archive journey then. You know, I'm just thankful we have such great authors that still care about their fans, and it's just nice to have a Sanderson around. Even though Mistborn wasn't my favorite book, tell me why you like it, and what's your favorite Sanderson book, and what Sanderson book would you recommend to me?